Okay, so this is the final video, final scene of Act 2. This is scene 6, in which Romeo and Juliet are actually finally married. In this scene, we join them at the end of their marriage vows, and these are the words that Friar Lawrence is saying to them as he blesses the final moments of their union together. And so he starts with these words. So smile the heavens upon this holy act, that after hours with sorrow chide us not. So Friar Lawrence here, but through the personification of the heavens are smiling on this act. It shows that their love has the approval of God. Remember earlier on with that language used to describe Juliet as bright angel, that kind of religious rhetoric. We return to that again here, and it's as though the lovers are being kind of accepted by God, that they belong to heaven, and that their kind of union together is being made holy and sacred. Romeo says, "Amen, amen, but come what sorrow can, it cannot countervail the exchange of joy that one short minute gives me in her sight. Do thou but close our hands with holy words, then love devouring death, do what he dare. It is enough, I may but call her mine." So Romeo says, what sorrow? There can be no sorrow because we're so overjoyed here. And he even wills, I haven't highlighted this here, but I will do now. He even wills death to do its worst, basically. He says, love devouring death, do what he dare. And there is that sense again of foreshadowing. He's referencing death and saying, well, let death do what he dare. Of course, at this stage, he doesn't know that the two of them will indeed die. And so he's almost challenging death here. But we know, as an audience, we've heard the prologue, we know that the two lovers will die. So again, there's that sense of dramatic irony for the audience. We know that that is foreshadowing of what's to come. Friar Lawrence also warns them. Friar Lawrence says, these violent delights have violent ends, and in their triumph die like fire and powder, which as they kiss consume. The sweetest honey is loathsome in its own deliciousness, and in the taste confounds the appetite. Therefore love moderately, long love doth so. Too swift arrives, as tardy too slow. So here again, he's giving them a warning. He's giving the young lovers a warning. When he says, these violent delights have violent ends. Violent delights is an oxymoron. So praising the word violent alongside delights, but also saying that these things that seem delightful now could have a violent end. And so he's foreshadowing the deaths of the lovers, and this represents the idea of the toxicity of love, the idea that love is parasitic, the idea that love could in some way lead to their death. And remember, Romeo and his conversation with Mercutio earlier on, that Queen Mab speech sets up that idea of love as toxic and parasitic, and that it could be something that could cause them hurt as well as bring them a great deal of pleasure. And so this also reminds us of earlier on when Romeo is kind of talking about his idealised version of love. He says, love is a smoke made with the fume of sighs. That idea that love causes a lack of clarity. We struggle to see. It can be kind of elusive and confusing. And in the same way, that imagery to do with smoke and fire is drawn upon here, but in a much more dangerous and threatening way. The friar also warns them about sin and haste. He says the sweetest honey is loathsome in its own deliciousness. So he warns them about the potential for sin and the potential for danger if they're too hasty. Enter Juliet. Here comes the lady. Oh, so light of foot will ne'er wear out the everlasting flint. A lover may bestride the gossamers that idles in the wanton summer air, and yet not fall, so light is vanity. Good even to my good ghostly confessor. So here Juliet calls him my ghostly confessor, which basically means my spiritual guide. But it reminds us of the friar's role as their spiritual guide and also protector, and the way in which he facilitates the marriage. Remember, there is that idea about the play as an exploration of parental love and guidance. The friar and the nurse become complicit in the deaths because of the way in which they try to intervene in the lover's marriage and the lover's future. And so there is a kind of narrative here, a question here about the extent to which the friar is to blame and is complicit in the deaths of the lovers. So that just reminds us of this idea of the friar's role as their guide, as their protector, and that he in fact kind of guides them almost in the wrong direction, in quite a dangerous direction over time. Romeo shall thank thee, daughter, for us both. And Romeo kisses Juliet. As much to him, else is his thanks too much. Juliet returns his kiss. Ah, Juliet, if the measure of thy joy be heaped like mine, and that thy skill be more to blazon it, then sweeten with thy breath this neighbour's air, and let rich music's tongue unfold the imagined happiness that both receive in either by this dear encounter. Conceit, more rich in matter than in words, brags of his substance, not of ornament. They are but beggars that can count their worth. But my true love is grown to such excess, I cannot sum up some of half my wealth. Friar Lawrence says, come with me, and we will make short work. For by your leaves you shall not stay alone, till Holy Church incorporate two in one. And then they leave then to officiate the marriage ceremony. And here, just so you understand what Juliet's saying here, Juliet is saying that she is far wealthier than anybody else simply because she can measure her wealth through love as opposed to with possessions. So both of them here are presenting quite an idealised version of love. And we get that sense again of this idea of the Holy Church incorporating two into one, the idea of their love being kind of religiously significant and being sacred and being something that is almost sanctioned by God and by heaven. Okay, right, we'll stop there.